So Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has pretty much been at the forefront of most Pokemon content on YouTube lately, but if there is one thing that I also absolutely love to cover personally, it's cut Pokemon that were considered for the games, but never made the final product. In a shocking turn of events, however, it seems like we have a situation where both of these subjects have overlapped, and there are actually some cut Pokemon from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that have been discovered. And in this video, we're going to talk all about them, what they were, and of course, look at a glimpse of what they might have looked like. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Cut Pokemon is the name of today's video, and it's all being made possible thanks in part to today's wonderful sponsor, Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. These subscription boxes bring you delicious snacks and treats every month, and the best part is, all of them come straight from Japan. Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. have been an awesome partner of the channel for a while now, and that's because I truly do love all the stuff they have to offer in every box. The theme for this month's boxes are Snackin' New Year for Tokyo Treat and New Year's in Niigata for Sakura Co. Tokyo Treat gives you a taste of Japan's modern trendy treats, like Kit Kats with crazy fun flavors and pear-flavored Fanta, while Sakura Co. gives you the more traditional Japanese experience. This strawberry crepe in particular from the Sakura Co. box was especially delicious, and it also looks like a taco, which is always a positive. The Sakura Co. boxes even come with an authentic piece of tableware each month as well, which is a really nice touch. So if you want to broaden your horizons or just try something new in this new year, pick up yourself a box of Tokyo Treat or Sakura Co. with the links in my description and get $5 off your first box of each when you use the code HOOPS at checkout. It also supports the channel directly if you want to help me keep making videos, and if you get a Sakura Co. box, you'll also be entered to win a free trip to Japan if you do so by January 31st. So again, check all of that out with the links below, and a big thank you to Tokyo Treat and Sakura Co. for supporting the channel. So, back to the topic at hand, where are these cut Scarlet and Violet Pokemon coming from, you might be asking, and who are they? Well, when taking a look at Scarlet and Violet's Pokedex within the game's code, it has been discovered that Toedscool and Toedscruel, the convergent Pokemon that resemble Tentacool and Tentacruel, are actually referred to by names that are not their own. Instead, the names that are used to identify them in the code are Okakingu and Okagaradosu, which instead refer to the Japanese names of Magikarp and Gyarados, which are Koiking and Gyarados respectively. In short, this heavily implies that there were originally plans to include convergent forms of Magikarp and Gyarados into these games, but at the last second, they were scrapped and replaced with the Toedscool line instead. Unfortunately, this is all we have to go on currently in terms of the existence of these Pokemon, but it's as decisive of evidence as anything that a cut convergent form of Magikarp and Gyarados actually exist, which is absolutely amazing. So with that in mind, and without any official designs available to us, it makes you wonder what these Pokemon could have looked like had they made the final games, and why they would have been cut in the first place. Well, that is what the rest of this video is going to be all about, as I have gone ahead and created my own versions of convergent Magikarp and Gyarados, with the help of my good friend DarknWindie, who you can check out with his link in the description, in order to give you all a glimpse at what these Pokemon could have looked like had they not been cut. I also have my own ideas as to why these Pokemon were cut in the first place, so with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at that. It's actually kind of ironic, because in designing a convergent form of Magikarp and Gyarados, I actually stumbled upon a very possible reason as to why they might have been cut. Simply put, these Pokemon are hard to make work as convergent Pokemon. Convergent Pokemon like Toedscool and Wiglet definitely have some parameters that they follow with their concept, which are, primarily, that they have to look just like their base counterpart more or less, but they need to be thrust into a completely different environment so that they are not that same Pokemon, such as Wiglet being put into the water compared to Diglett being in the ground, and Toedscool being taken out of the water and put onto land. With a literal fish Pokemon like Magikarp though, that is a tall task, because how do you take a fish and make sure it still looks like that fish, but also make it not a fish and more than likely take it out of the water so that it's decidedly different from that original base form? And that doesn't even factor in Gyarados into the equation, who was practically built for the water itself. This is definitely a tricky situation, as you might be able to tell, so I could absolutely see it being the case that Game Freak ran into some similar issues, and couldn't quite nail a design that they liked quite enough, and so they decided to scrap it in favor of Toedscool. Another possible reason that these Pokemon were scrapped, however, could simply be due to the fact that it's Magikarp and Gyarados, two of the most iconic Pokemon of all time, and therefore they might seem a little bit more sacred, if you will, and untouchable to the development team at Game Freak in terms of their designs, especially if the designs they had come up with to that point weren't quite up to par. Realistically, these Pokemon could have been cut for any number of reasons, but from where I am sitting and from what we know currently, that's my best guess as to why. Now, when it comes to what these Pokemon could have looked like before they were scrapped, this is where it gets interesting, because like I said, the whole convergent process isn't exactly straightforward with these two Pokemon. Nevertheless, however, I have come up with a couple of designs, so why don't we go ahead and take a look at them, and then I'll explain what exactly they are and the thought process behind them. Say hello to Mimikarp and Numeridos. These two Pokemon are grass ground types, just like Toedscool and Toedscruel that replaced them. I decided to go with that since A, it keeps the balance of the Paldea Dex intact, but also, again, for these to be their own Pokemon separate from Magikarp and Gyarados, they pretty much had to be lifted out of the water. And on that note, when looking at what exactly I could do with these Pokemon when it came to making them relatively the same to their base counterparts, but putting them on land and having it still make sense, the best I could come up with was having them be based on snakes. I decided to go for this since Gyarados' body is already pretty snake-like, and even though I really had to stretch to make these work, it ended up working out quite well in my opinion. Numeridos in particular is actually based on a specific species of snake known as the Viperine water snake. This snake can be found in Spain, where Paldea is based, and is actually a sort of convergent species of its own, as it is known as the Viperine water snake due to its resemblance to various viper snakes, despite not actually being a viper itself. Additionally, it also is semi-aquatic, which altogether made it the perfect inspiration for these Pokemon, and was also the perfect justification in basing these Pokemon on a snake. The idea is that while Numeridos is a grass ground type, it will occasionally go out in the water just like its inspiration, and this, combined with its visual similarity to Gyarados, has caused some people to mistake it for Gyarados, and for a connection between the two Pokemon to be made. This is also where it gets the name Numeridos, as it comes from Gyarados and numero, the Spanish word for number. It also uses the dos part of Gyarados' name as the actual word dos, which means two in Spanish, meaning that Numerados' name translates as number 2, or Gyarados number 2, referring to its resemblance to the Pokemon, and its name is even in Spanish, which they speak in Spain, where Paldea is based on, so for as much of a stretch as it was to come up with something that worked for these guys in this situation, it actually came together quite beautifully, in my opinion. However, we still need to talk about Mimicarp. Mimicarp is a little bit different because unlike Gyarados, who already had a snake-like body, Magikarp is quite literally a fish. So translating its body for the land was naturally going to require some adjustments. Ultimately, however, I decided to take Magikarp's oval-shaped body and use that as the basis for basing this Pokemon on a snake egg. That was basically the only way I could get it onto land, and have it evolve into a snake at the same time, and have it all make some kind of justifiable sense. As a snake egg Pokemon though, Mimicarp like to retain the shells of the eggs that they hatch out of, and they move around by hopping around inside of their shells. Mimicarp have never been seen without their shells, and the facial similarity to Magikarp is what ultimately earned it its name, coming from Mimic and Magikarp. While just an interpretation, this is more or less what we could have lost out on when this Convergent Magikarp line was cut from Scarlet and Violet in favor of Toedscool and Toedscruel. What do you guys think about all this though? Do you think it was a good idea to cut them given the concerns I shared, or would you have preferred something like this to what we got? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, and leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more if you're new. Also, I've just gotta say that this is the first video that I have recorded since the channel hit 300,000 subscribers, and I just wanted to take a second to directly thank all of you for helping me to reach this insane milestone. I love and appreciate you all more than you will ever know, and your support honestly means the world to me. I am also excited to keep pushing forward though and reach even higher heights, and I hope you guys are as well, so come on back because I will have another new video very soon. With that said, thank you so much for watching this one, I sincerely appreciate it, and until the next one, as always, I will smell you guys later.